Whether you are a beginning, intermediate, or advanced writer on Medium, you're always looking to write the perfect Medium blog post. You want to make sure that your blog post gets curated and picked by the editors for promotion. You want to make sure that your target audience loves your post and reads them from start to finish because it helps you get more read time and more money. And most importantly, you want to make sure that you are the best writer that you possibly can be and that you're putting out not just content that other people like, but content in written words that you're really proud of yourself. So how do you create this perfect Medium post? How do you check all these boxes with a single article? In this video, I'm going to walk through 3 key steps that you can take to get as close as possible to writing the perfect Medium blog post. Now, is it going to be absolutely perfect? Of course not. But there are techniques you can use to grow and become a better writer over time. And these are things that I'm going to share with you today. But before we dive into the topic, make sure that you subscribe to the YouTube channel and hit that notification bell because that means you are going to get brand new videos when they come out. I'm going to be sharing a ton of content, keeping up with the growing nature of success on Medium, as well as teaching you everything and anything I know personally about making a living writing because it is as awesome as it sounds. Trust me. Okay, these are insights that I have used to build my Medium blog to the level where it is today. I am very thankful that I've been able to build a successful blog that gets a lot of views, that helps me make a living, and that really helps me share messages that I truly care about with other people. So how do you get the best of all of those worlds? How are you going to be able to, maintain your voice, but also write stuff people want to read and make sure that you're really putting out quality content? Let's go through 3 of these tips to the perfect Medium blog post. I'm going to hammer this point over and over and over and over and over again until it sinks into your brain. Your headline is the most important piece to writing a successful Medium blog post and writing a successful blog post, period. If people don't click through your headline to view your article, there is no article for them to view. If people do not engage with that first step of the headline, it is impossible for them to even get to the blog post itself. So you want to focus on writing quality headlines. Now, Medium has updated its curation terms a little bit. I've been talking back and forth with different writers, and they are making sure that you have quality and depth that matches your headlines, and they are trying to crack down on clickbait a little bit, but that doesn't mean you have to completely abandon traditional headline frameworks to be successful. For example, I still write list posts that get curated. I still write how-to articles that get curated. And these are still valuable techniques and frameworks that you should use in your headlines because they speak to benefits. They speak to the aspirations of your readers. They speak to alleviating the fears and frustrations of your readers. These are all important things that go into a headline, but you're going to want to make sure that when you get into the article that you are backing up the claims that you're making in your headline with the article. So you can still make good promises with your articles, but then you're going to have to deliver on the back end when you write your article. So we'll talk about that in a minute. But some of the things that I've heard from conversations from people who own publications, people who work directly with Medium curators and have had conversations with them, people who've gotten hands-on feedback from curators. A couple things they mention in terms of matching the quality of your headlines. They are looking for list posts that have a sufficient amount of points. So if you're going to write a list post, you want to have at least 5 solid core points that you're going to be covering. If you're going to write a how-to article, they want to make sure that you are actually explaining in depth, step-by-step information on how to do something. So if you're going to create a how-to article, you got to make sure that your article really has broken down how-to mechanics and steps within the article. But still, you're going to want to make sure that that headline has some compelling components to it. Again, good headlines fulfill a promise. Often a how-to headline is showing someone how to do something that they want to do, something that'll make their life better, something that'll help them level up, something that'll give them a valuable skill. A list article gives them the upfront information. Okay, I'm going to learn about these 5 points, but then in the back end, you're going to have to explain those points well, which I'll talk about how to do in a second. And there are a lot of different variations of headlines you can use, but you just don't want your headline to be boring and bland. You don't want it to be giving away all the information up front. So for example, let's say that you are writing an article about weight loss. We'll take the randomest of topics. A great headline isn't going to be something like work out moderately 3 times per week, be in a calorie deficit, and you'll lose 1.5 pounds per day. You have to put a little bit of dressing on top of it. You have to put a little bit of cheese on top of that broccoli to get people in. So you could do something like that, teaching about weight loss without even being clickbaity. You could write something, 5 proven methods to lose twice as much weight as the average human. And you could write an article that really talks about ways that you can lose more weight than the average person, specific ways to track your macros, specific exercise, whether that's high intensity interval training, things like that. So you can back up a solid headline with data, with anecdotes, with facts. So you can still, without being clickbaity, create a headline that is compelling to readers. So focus on headlines. I've mentioned in other videos, the practice of writing 10 headlines every single day is going to make you a much better headline writer. So make sure that you are doing that as often as possible. Okay, the second thing to focus on with your articles is making sure that each of your points is solid. These are some of the things that the curators are talking about, what they're looking for when they're recommending your article. If you have a point, make sure that you're going thoroughly in describing each point. I like to put anywhere from 250 to 300 words underneath each main point of an essay. So let's say I have a 3-point essay with an intro and a conclusion, kind of typical structure. That's going to equate to an article of about 1,500 words. So you're having real depth there. You're not just spouting everything, your random opinions. You're going in and you're really thoroughly explaining what you mean. And then in the process of doing that, while also having depth, you have to understand that writing is about making emotional connections. This is why I always talk about using the word you in your writing quite a bit, because it helps you give that feeling like you're talking to the reader and sharing information with them. In the case of someone who is writing more of a narrative essay where you're talking mostly in the first person, you still want to create life experiences that are relatable to that individual. So when it comes to the actual content you're writing, depth and emotion are the 2 things that you want to focus on. You want to make sure that you're backing your stuff with sources, and you want to make sure that you're hitting the emotional points that come with it. So for example, weight loss is something that's very emotional and statistical at the same time. There's a lot of data on how to lose weight, and then there's a lot of emotional components on how to deal with weight, how to properly sustain motivation, emotional reasons why people want to lose weight, emotional downfalls that happen. So if you can hit both of those, thoroughly explain and hit those emotional tones at the same time, you're going to be a successful writer. So this does come with practice. I will link to other videos that will show you different kind of persuasive techniques you can add, but kind of from the bird's eye view, you want to make sure you're hitting both of those tones. And then when you go through and you're editing your articles, remove all the stuff that doesn't hit those points. Remove the things that don't hit the emotional tones, and remove the things that aren't thoroughly backed up. And when you kind of remove the excess, you're left with quality content, that both the readers and curators will love. Last thing is be very mindful of aesthetics. One of the benefits of Medium is the fact that they have such a great user interface with the white space, and you can really take that display and do great things, whether that's adding in-body images, whether that is making sure to space your content out, add subheadings, bullet points, italics, embeds. I've been playing around with embedding videos into my content. Play around and take a look. go and read some of the popular blog posts that they have on the platform. You'll notice that a lot of them are focusing on being very aesthetically appealing. I've seen articles with custom artwork in them. Some people add personal photos from their real life to add an extra touch. The way people are using different features like drop caps to open up sentences, all these kind of aesthetic aspects you definitely want to pay attention to. And from an aesthetics perspective, I'm always using aesthetics as a tool to keep my reader moving down the page. So the way that you earn money on Medium is through read time. So the more people stay and finish your articles, the more you're usually going to get paid. So I'm always thinking of what are some ways that aside from writing the best quality content possible, what are some of the ways that I can help the reader along in the journey? So maybe that's adding an in-body picture after a point to give them a break. But then what I'll do is I'll make sure that the picture is hitting an emotional tone too. So maybe I'm writing a point that has 300 words and it's talking about following the life path. I will embed a picture of a trail, of a pathway. I'm always thinking deeply about creating emotional connections, both in my visuals and in my writing. If I'm talking about an uplifting emotion, I might add a picture of a skyline, of blue skies and clouds, things like that. Read the book Persuasion by Robert Cialdini. He talks about these facts, even from the way stores and restaurants choose their color schemes. They do it. There's studies that show that fast food restaurants choose colors that literally make you hungrier, right? So aesthetics really does add a lot from a persuasive perspective, which is why I always do things like include images. I'm always mindful of like the main featured header image I choose for my post. I will often, if you look at my posts, you'll often see you'll see skylines, you'll see opulent images, you will see attractive faces. Let's just be honest, using attractive people in their images has been a proven marketing technique since the beginning of marketing, and I will not shy away from using anything that will help me create an advantage to get more readers, and to get people's foot in the door and to help them get all the way through the content. So all of these factors come into play, and a good thing for you to remember is to always be a student of the platform. I have picked up a lot of these techniques just by observing other writers. For example, like with the images things, I noticed my buddy Tim Denning, he always had these amazing images that he used in his posts, and they always stood out to me. And I'm like, wow, I didn't choose the exact same images or even style them the way he did, but I looked at it and I said, okay, this is appealing to me. I should incorporate this. I'll look at certain headline structures people are using, and I won't copy them verbatim, but I'll remix them a little bit and use them. I will see how people are using space in their articles. I will see what kind of sources they are citing. I'll see what kind of claims they're making, what kind of quotes they're using. I'll look at the popular posts on Mediums, kind of the ones handpicked from the editors, and I'll look at some of the aspects and features of them. Why are these articles working well? So when it comes to watching or writing the perfect Medium blog post, become a great observer. The number one skill that can really help you become a better writer and blogger is seeing what already works and figuring out how to reverse engineer it and creating an intuitive sense for how to do that. So those 3 tips will help you write posts that get curated and write posts that readers will love. So to recap, number 1, making sure that your headlines are solid. Number 2, making sure that your content itself both hits the kind of data-driven, source-cited, in-depth aspects, as well as hitting emotional nerves and using persuasive elements at the same time. Last point, number 3, is making sure that you are paying careful attention to aesthetics, images, spacing, subheadings, things that make your post more visually appealing. And if you follow those 3 things, you'll be well on your way to having a successful Medium blog. Okay, in the description below, you are going to see a link to a free 5-day course that is going to help you become successful on medium.com. So go ahead, click that link, enter your email, and you can begin the course right away. I also have a link to my premium flagship Medium course. For those of you who are ready to dive in right now, you can just click the link to that page, see what the course is all about, and you can take the next step, and I hope to see you inside. Lastly, make sure that you subscribe to the channel. If you've made it this far, you owe it to yourself to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you get brand new videos that are going to continue to teach you how to become a successful writer in this journey with me. Make sure to like the video, leave a comment, let me know what you want me to talk about on other videos. Look at some of the other videos that are popping up in front of your face right now and explore them. I will see you on the next video.